Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football ahead of a massive weekend in the Premier League. We'll be talking about that, of course, but we're also going to talk about this embarrassing, disgraceful decision that has happened in relation to Arteta, where he's been cleared of his misconduct charge. Obviously, I'm being ironic there because he did use the words embarrassing and disgrace, and yet the FA charged him and he's been cleared of misconduct. I think this is a big win for football. I think we're diluting the passion from football too much, and we're going to get into that as well as the big weekend action because there's some cracking games coming up, including Liverpool against Manchester United, of course. But before we get into all of that, please do check out the podcast. It comes out every Tuesday and Friday. It's Friday. That means there's a new podcast episode out. Goldbridge Saves Football. We've got Liverpool, Manchester United combined 11. That's really interesting. We're also doing a Premier League draft where me and Will get a pick each. So we've combined, we basically come up with two Premier League sides where you know, he gets a pick, I get a pick, but we can't have the same players in the teams. There's a massive vote going off as well on Spotify for it. Check it out. The podcast is out, previewing the weekend as well. But look, back to this. Arsenal boss cleared of misconduct charge after Newcastle comments. I think this is great. I think this is fantastic. I think we need to get 20,000 likes on this video for this. Because as you know, we are a community that is built on passion and love for the game. And I think that passion and love for the game is being slowly diluted by officials and the Premier League. We saw it at the start of last season, at the end of a very tempestuous game between Chelsea and Spurs at Stamford Bridge. The fans were rowdy. There was a VAR injustice in that game, if you remember correctly. I think that was the game where, was that the game where Anthony Taylor and Mike Dean had a little bit of a mates rate and they didn't give the penalty for the pull on the hair? Anyway, Tuchel and Conte, in what was a game that had been, you know, very badly officiated, some might say, they shook hands, they held on a little bit too long, a bit like Jack and Rose on the Titanic, and they got a charge for being aggressive, ridiculous. We've seen it time and time again, and we saw it after the game between Arsenal and Newcastle, where Arsenal were robbed. Let's be honest, Gabriel was fouled. It's a title race for Arsenal. Those 3 points, and I'm going to keep saying this throughout the season, and you can keep reminding me as well. Remember, Liverpool got 0 points at Spurs. Maybe should have got 1, maybe should have got 3. Certainly a goal wrongly disallowed. Newcastle at Arsenal, that goal should not have been given. That's 3 points Newcastle have got, but it's also 0 points that Arsenal have got. Could be massive in the title race. And after the game, Arteta called the VAR, the officiating. He said it was an embarrassment and it was embarrassing and a disgrace. I think he was absolutely correct because I think it was embarrassing and I think it was a disgrace. But he was later charged with misconduct. However, the FA have said that an independent regulatory commission found the charge to be not proven after the hearing. So Mikel Arteta will not be getting any charge or ban for what he said after that Newcastle game. And I, for one, applaud that because at the end of the day and at the end of the game, when referees and VAR are making decisions like that can cost fans titles, clubs in money and managers their jobs, what do you want an individual human being to say straight after a game like that? Oh, it's only a game. Of course they've got a right to come out and say it's embarrassing and it's a disgrace because it was an embarrassment and it was a disgrace. Now, one thing I would say is that in the written reasons for the charge as not being proved, it was revealed that Arteta claimed that the word disgrace has a very similar spelling and pronunciation to the Spanish word desgracia. The Spanish word has connotations of misfortune, tragedy, or bad luck, rather than the connotations of the English equivalent, which suggest contempt, dishonour, or disrespect. I think you say potato, I say potato. I don't know what that means. At the end of the day, whether the Spanish word desgracia means misfortune, tragedy, or bad luck, or the English equivalent disgrace means contempt, dishonour, or disrespect, it was a disgrace and also embarrassing. So, look, I think this is a great win for football. I was listening to the radio today and they were sort of trying to say it's wrong that Arteta hasn't been charged because it means other managers can now say stuff, and if they get in trouble, they can say, well, Arteta didn't get into trouble. Good. I'm tired of seeing managers saying, if I speak, I'm in trouble. I'm tired of managers saying, I don't want to talk about it because I'll get a charge. This is an entertainment industry. Football is entertainment. And therefore, we want managers to come out and reflect how the fans feel. And those Arsenal fans, after that game, will have loved what Arteta said because they'll have been feeling exactly the same. And as the manager of the club, he represents the fans as well. So I think this is a big win for football. A big win for football. Get your comments in below. Do you think Arteta should have been charged? Or do you think they've reached the right decision by saying there isn't a case to answer? And we heard what he said. And many ex-players and many media people came out against Arteta for doing it. And yet they have said there is no charge to answer. And I think this is great for football fans because we are passionate and we love this game. And at the end of a game, when you've been cheated or robbed or embarrassed or disgraced or whatever like that, then we don't want robots. Maybe that's coming in 30 years, but we don't want that now. So I'm not even an Arsenal fan. I'm over the moon because I want my manager. I want Erik ten Hag to come out and say that. I'm sure Liverpool fans would want Klopp to come out and say that. And sometimes they don't. And we want that. I don't know what they're trying to do in football. They seem to want to take the passion out of it. And, it's a big step from being, we know what's out of line. I don't think saying that officials are getting bad decisions wrong is out of line, in my opinion. But anyway, what a weekend of football we've got as well. Obviously, I'll be on the United stand on Sunday for Liverpool against Manchester United. But before that, I'll be on this channel for Arsenal against Brighton, which I think is an absolutely cracking game. And obviously, Arsenal, I'm looking at the title race, basically. There's 3 games this weekend that I think are absolutely huge. You've got Arsenal at home to Brighton, which, who knows? You'd say Arsenal at the Emirates against a Brighton who are decimated with injury and played a big game on Thursday night. You'd fancy Arsenal to win that. You've got Liverpool against Manchester United. I do think that, without jinxing it, I do think people are over-egging the pudding a bit about 5, 6, 7-0 to Liverpool. Man United should not be letting that happen. And Liverpool, although I'd put them as favourites, I mean, they beat Palace because Palace went down to 10 men. Klopp admitted that. They beat Sheffield United by 1 goal. They were behind against Fulham. So it's still a challenge for Liverpool. I don't think it's a walk in the park. And then another one, Aston Villa away to Brentford. 2 fantastic home wins against Manchester City and Arsenal. Away to Brentford, they're the games, if you want to be in a title race and a top 4 race, that Aston Villa have got to go get. So look, really, really, really interested. And where we are on Monday morning going into the Christmas period and that title race, I think is going to be absolutely fascinating. I mean, literally, when you look at that league table at the moment, which I'll just get up for you on the screen, which I can't see to put up on the screen, which is very disappointing. There it is. I've got it for you now. But when you look at the top of the table as it stands at the moment, and it is here. Here it is. Take your time, mate. Take your time. Liverpool top with 37, Arsenal second with 36, Aston Villa 35. Man City are still in the equation, and they've got a very easy game against somebody at the weekend. I can't remember. It's Palace at home, I think. Ooh, get rid of that. Yeah, look, if any of those top 3 drop a point or lose, and the other 2 win in a gap. Look, what I'm saying is, if Villa lose to Brentford or draw with Brentford, but the other 2 win, then there's a gap opening up there, isn't there? So it's a big weekend at the top, is what I'm saying. And Man City have got to open up a little bit. But it's an opportunity for Spurs. I'm doing that tonight. Watch along. Tottenham at Nottingham Forest tonight. Is a gap going to start opening up between the top 4 and those chasing them? Because Tottenham at Forest tonight, that's a difficult game. A draw and that gap opens up, or even worse, a loss. Man United are going to be at Liverpool. If they lose that gap gets bigger. Newcastle, home to Fulham. That's going to be tough for them. Brighton, away to Arsenal. So you look at Spurs, Man United, Newcastle, Brighton. I mean, if all those drop points, then them top 4 start moving away even more, don't they? Fascinating stuff. Anyway, get your comments in. What are your thoughts on the Arteta charge? What are your thoughts on the weekend? And do not forget to tune in tonight for the watch along, which is Forest against Spurs. I'll have had a drink. It'll be good. It's Christmas, and I'm actually gonna get. I've got a tin of Quality Street in celebration, so we're gonna do a bit of a vote on that for a bit of fun. Anyway, I'm giving away all my material for tonight. Don't forget to listen to the podcast. It's a cracker this week. I really want people to get involved in the draft we've got. It's a novel idea. Really do check it out. And also, I've got my Man United Liverpool combined 11 on there. Take care. Podcast links in the description. I'll speak to you a little bit later.